I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. McCausland, will you please call roll?
Mrs. Feiss.
Here.
Mr. Grisbeck.
Here.
Mrs. Hoppy.
Here.
Mrs. Janicek.
Here.
Mr. McGregor.
Here.
Mr. Modrak.
Here.
Mr. Scalzo.
Here.
Mrs. Turner.
Here.
Mr. Christensen.
Here.
All 9 members present.
Thank you. I need a motion to adopt the agenda for business items.
Second.
Second. The motion was made by Ms. Feiss and seconded by Ms. Turner.
Voting is open.
I'd like a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Ms. Turner, seconded by Mr.
Ms.
McGregor.
Hoppy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just heard something on my left.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch who made the motions.
Ms. Hoppy?
Thank you. Voting is open. Motion carries.
Thank you. I'll announce executive sessions we've held in the last month, April 12th, 2022, for personnel, other legal matters, and to receive information. April 19th, 2022, for personnel, other legal matters, and to receive information. And April 26th, 2022, for personnel, other legal matters, and to receive information. Do we have reports from student government?
He's here.
Student government report today? Yes. Okay, fantastic.
Hello. All right. Cool. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here again. So as it stands right now, we're at the calm before the storm, and the storm that is Staff Appreciation Week and AP tests. Not looking forward to them. But a little bit more about staff appreciation. All of SGA is involved with this. There are multiple committees planning out multiple facets of the event. And so we are really working hard to make sure that all teachers, bus drivers, janitorial staff, anyone in the school, just better the learning experience and that at the proper. I think my mic is cutting out, but we'll just run. So
There you go.
right, all right. So as I was saying, if there are any high school teachers here right now, we have an awesome week ahead planned for all of you, so we're looking forward to that. Another thing was we recently went to William Penn Elementary to read to all the elementary school classes, and we had a fun time there. Obviously, I also went to William Penn when I was in elementary school, so it was awesome to just go back and see, you know, how things have changed, how it hasn't. And it's really good because we also promote literacy and just reading, because those are awesome things. And it's really important for young children to read and read often. One more exciting thing is SGA is funding a charity project that is being done by the sewing classes in the high school. So they're collecting bars of soap to donate to local food banks, shelters, social services agencies, and veterans clinics. As we all know, unemployment rates skyrocketed due to the pandemic, so families weren't often able to buy the necessities like bar soap, for example. So with this money that SGA is providing, the sewing classes will be able to donate over more than 500 bars of soap to families who really need it, and they are also knitting soap holders and temporary rags to complement the soap bars being distributed. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a PTO, PTA report?
Yes.
Okay, Dawn.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good evening. My name is Dawn Hughes. I am the PTO Council co-president, and some things happening around the district. At Abraham Lincoln Elementary kindergartners Teddy Griffiths and Anna Schubert Melnick, second grader Jacob Anderson joined third grader Hazel Camera as finalists for this year's WQED Writers Challenge. The theme this year was Write My Future, and students were encouraged to write about how they see themselves in the future. The stories were published in Lincoln's very own publishing center. Lincoln Elementary submitted 37 stories from students in grades K through 3 to the contest. A special thanks to Mrs. D, who makes all the magic happen. First grade teacher Dawn Dowds finished her afternoon book club. Their latest story was entitled Someday. Students played a game where they had to answer questions about themselves. They dressed up and brought in props and shared what they wanted to be when they grew up. Everything wrapped up with playing career bingo. Special thanks to Mrs. Dowds, who organized this book club. Over at Ben Franklin, they're gearing up for the Arts and Science Fair that's being held this evening. The month of May is busy with end-of-year activities, fourth grade activities, and spirit nights. Upcoming, they have Olympic Day, fourth grade party, and the fourth grade band and string concerts. The recent events, the Spring Fling Dance and the Saris Candy Fundraiser, were great successes, and their final PTO meeting will be held on Wednesday, May 4th at 6 p.m. At George Washington Elementary, they just held the We Run Trail event last week along with Ben Franklin, and it was a great night for all. And they are currently running a bundt cake sale. William Penn Elementary has their talent showcase coming up on May 20th. Lots of students are excited about signing up to share their talents or volunteer as stage help. It will be a great event for Penn students and their families. They also have the long-awaited Career Exploration Fair Assembly and event on May 24th and 25th. Students will enjoy an assembly, a college trade school spirit day, a career dress-up day, and the career fair itself. Students will get to learn about and explore many career options from hardworking people right here in our community. Over at Neil Armstrong Elementary, they're looking forward to their spring events, which include the Spring Fling and Fun Days. To date, they have 185 students registered for the Spring Fling. Field trips have resumed, and the PTO is happy to support these educational trips. The Staff Appreciation Committee is diligently working on events to celebrate the hard work and dedication of the staff at Neil Armstrong. And lastly, Independence Middle School has been busy preparing for the end of the year and Move Up Day festivities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dawn. Is there a solicitor report?
I do not have a report this month, Mr. Christensen. Thank you.
Thank you. Any updates on committee reports from the board?
I just wanted to let everybody know, I believe the board got an email about the Arbor Day, which is Friday, at Millennium Park. I believe 42 elementary students from Lincoln, or kindergartners, will be participating, and then bring them back in 10 years to see how much they and the trees have grown. It is being brought to you by with the municipality also. So any of that can attend. I believe it starts at 10 a.m.
Yeah, thank you. I believe we'll be there with our shovels, too. Yeah, okay. Any other committee reports? No? Superintendent's report.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'll start with recognition of the two retirees on the agenda for your approval tonight. William Raniger started with Bethel Park School District in September of 2012 as a substitute custodian. In March of 2013, he was promoted to head custodian and he's currently in that position at IMS, from which he will retire at the end of June. And Mark Graham, in November of 2013, Mark began his employment as a substitute bus driver. He was in that position until February of 2014, when he was made a full-time bus driver, and he's been driving ever since. Mark retires from his bus driving position in June of 2022. Oh, where's Mark? Oh, there he is. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm going to turn the mic over to Mr. Cromie, who has his 5 big things.
Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks for coming. We're going to present 5 big things. We're going to go back to number 1 here. And we do this every month for people who are uninitiated, and it's something, we're always just talking about some of the best things happening at Bethel Park. Of course, there are always many more than 5 things, and it's always difficult to whittle it down. One of the first big things that happened this month was KDKA Radio featured Bethel Park as part of its hometown tour, and the 8 o'clock hour was dedicated to Bethel Park. Some of the guests included Superintendent Walsh, high school principal Mr. Joe Villani, our state championship baseball coach Patrick Zender, and our WPIAL softball coach Heather Simpless Scott, and also juniors Addison Hill and Ava Blatz did an amazing job advocating for the Best Buddies Walk, which happened this past weekend, and they were on it. So that was really cool. The hosts for KDKA, Larry Richard and Kevin Battle, they couldn't have been more gracious and more patient with us, and they were just wonderful hosts. So it was a great experience, and also Ma and Pa's Country Kitchen, they were wonderful hosts as well. So thank you to them. Another big story for this month is something that came to my attention last month, and that is we have a young lady named Lily Puskar, who's really a lovely young lady, and she's also the lone girl in the mechatronics program at Western Area Career and Technology Center. In fact, she's the first girl to take the class since veteran teacher Morgan Mitchell began teaching it when he called several years ago. He was not giving up his age. Mechatronics, in case you're wondering, it comes from combining the words mechanical and electronics, although it also includes computer controls. Mechatronics integrates principles from 4 engineering disciplines: electrical, mechanical, computer, and industrial. And if you're wondering what that means, it could mean anything from like a conveyor belt, a garage door, even like household items like Alexa, and things like in Siri, whatever your device, eavesdropping device of choice is. We also have, just want to remind everyone that Kennywood Picnic Day, Bethel Park Day, is June 17th. Discounted tickets are $29.99 and will be on sale from 4 to 7 p.m. on Thursday, May 12th in the high school's main lobby. Tickets will not be available through the district at any other time, and they can also be purchased online using Bethel Park's promotional code Bethel Park. So hopefully we'll see everyone on the racer. April is also, as you know, Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month. We've celebrated it with a number of different programs here at Bethel Park. And on Friday, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Mensch and his department, as well as the Interact Club, for partnering and coming, along with Amy Hart, I'll leave her out, to stage a family sensory-friendly movie night. They watched Encanto, and more than 100 people from various schools came out to do it, and it was a lot of fun for the kids to have a lot of activities to include a group that often struggles to find inclusion. So it was something that we were very proud of, and it was a wonderful evening, and we hope that it's the start of many more events of its kind. Also, be remiss if I didn't recognize that Bethel Park School District has been honored with the Best Communities for Music Education. That designation comes from the NAM Foundation for its outstanding commitment to music education. To qualify, members of the music department had to answer a number of very detailed questions about the program, and the responses were verified through school officials and then reviewed by the Music Research Institute at the University of Kansas. This is a very prestigious honor, and it's something we're very proud of. And it really, if anyone who's familiar with our music department isn't necessarily surprised by it, but we're also still, it's always nice to recognize such a district strength. Also, I'm going to sneak in a 6th one here. Jeff Nell received the PMEA's District 1 Citation of Excellence at their state conference in the Poconos earlier this month, and that's a really big deal. And it's also, by all accounts, very well deserved, because Jeff Nell is by all accounts, an outstanding administrator and an even better, outstanding music teacher and an even better human being. So that's all I have for you. Those are our 5 big things.
Thank you, Mr. Cromie. I'm also going to turn the mic over to our curriculum leadership for your bright spots for April.
Thank you very much for having us this evening. Tonight, we're going to talk about some bright spots in Bethel Park. The first bright spots are going to focus on the English Language Arts Department. Our first bright spot is that we are going to be offering a pilot into literature for the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade ELA in reading classrooms. And I have Miss Kim Pepper on the line, and she's going to tell you a little bit about the process of deciding upon into literature for this pilot. Miss Pepper, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Take it away.
Thank you, Mrs. Wells. So we're excited in grade 6 through 8. We currently have a program called HMH Collections, and that is coming to an end at the end of this current school year. And so we are looking to pilot, and we'll be getting additional information on May 17th, our in-service day. We'll receive training on HMH's new program called Into Literature. And we had looked through several programs, and this one will hopefully be the piece that will connect our language arts and reading teachers to connect them and, service the reading and language arts programs. And if the pilot is successful, hopefully we would continue on with that for an additional 6 years. Does anyone have any particular questions or?
Any questions? No? Okay, thank you, Ms. Pepper.
Thank you.
And our next bright spot is the Summer of Learning 2022 program. We will be bringing back the Summer of Learning for students currently in grades K to 8. The Summer of Learning will take place June 13th through the 30th. The times and the dates will vary depending upon the age of your student. The Summer of Learning will be in person, held at Memorial for the elementary and Neil Armstrong for the students in grades 5 through 8. And we will be focusing on the English language arts and math subjects, and more information will be coming from principals soon. I'm now going to pass over the mic to my colleague, Miss Mandy Figlioli.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I think what's unique about Ms. Wells and I's positions are that we really have an opportunity to simultaneously learn and lead. And I had a few extraordinary opportunities within the last few months, both within the district and with some local educators that I wanted to share. I really want to give a big shout out to the teachers at Lincoln Elementary, specifically the teachers that are listed there. Mr. Jay Johnson, the principal, Rose D. Gregorio, IST teacher, Dawn Dowds, grade 1, Missy Dewey and Sarah Liberto, grade 2, Kim DeBald, grade 3, and Chris Strotz, grade 4. They, led by Miss Beth Kovalik, who was an administrative intern who worked with Mr. Johnson, also spent some time with Mr. Minch. She got these teachers together on a voluntary basis, and they started meeting together on Wednesday mornings. And the question that they were looking at was, how do we use the MAP growth data that our students are taking and provide opportunities not just for intervention for students that are struggling, but also students who need enrichment. So I was very grateful. This was all specifically based on math, and they invited me to attend. So the first 6 weeks, I was able to participate with that core group of teachers, and each teacher took the lead once a week, and shared what they were doing in their classroom. And so it really gave me a close look at the My Math curriculum, the Exact Path curriculum that they were using. Also, they were using a variety of different fluency tools for technology. So it was a really great opportunity for me to get my boots on the ground and see what's happening with math in the elementary schools. Well, when the final week came and they had all done their presentations, we didn't want it to end. And so they decided that they were then going to take it back to their grade levels. And so grade by grade, they each then met with their grade level team and shared what they learned. And it was just really powerful to see the teachers taking the lead of their own professional learning. And I learned a lot by working with them, and I was really grateful to be a part of it. The second opportunity I had was with the Allegheny Intermediate Unit, and they have something that's called the Math Coaches Network. And I really feel as an administrator that my role is one of a coach. And that the gentleman featured there is Sam Shaneyfeld. He facilitated these workshops. He was such an energetic and knowledgeable man. And we spent 2 days, March 4th and April 1st, doing a lot of math and having a lot of conversation. He worked us all day, and he really did a great job of facilitating in a way that brought joy to the work and encouraging us to bring curiosity and creativity to math classrooms, that you can have those things while also including rigor. So it was a really great opportunity for me, which then now leads me to how do I share my learning with the rest of the staff. What I really want to do first is, in moving into the end of this school year and into next school year, is fostering mathematical mindsets. And that's all of us, even if you're not a math person, I think that's commonly said, that we all believe that we can do hard things and that we can do math. And that pairs nicely with the growth mindset that we're incorporating with the MAP growth assessment. Providing instructional support. That, just like when you're working with students, that's going to vary from teacher to teacher, and you want to meet them where they are. A lot of teachers bring expertise to the table, and we want to make sure that we capture that knowledge and share it. Others may need support, so we want to make sure that we provide that in a customized way. Promoting collaboration. Like I said, what I saw with the Lincoln teachers was so powerful, and I really think that that's something that we need to build on, especially considering that we're all going to be working together under the same roof in elementary school in the next 3 to 5 years. Fill the toolbox. That was what I really gained from working with the Lincoln teachers and also from the AIU. And we want to find a way to organize those things, share those things, and make sure that they're easily accessible. So what I intend to do is on May 17th, I'm going to offer a math workshop for the teachers. And what I'd like to do is give them some strategies and tools for teaching math in their classroom. And my guess is that a lot of them will bring expertise to share as well. But what I want to look at is a format called Math Workshop. I'll be offering the professional development in that format and also encouraging the teachers to really think about how they utilize their instructional time in math. And I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with content standards. Those are the items that your children have to learn from year to year, but there's also something called the standards of mathematical practice, and those are the same in grades K through 12. And essentially, those are the habits of mind that we want our students to have when they're learning mathematics. I know a lot of people, we get a bad rap for the Common Core math. It's definitely something that I think is misunderstood at times, but what we want to see is like the things that Mr. Shaneyfeld was doing at AIU. We want to bring joy and creativity and curiosity to the classrooms, even in mathematics. So we want to look at those skills and dispositions of the mathematical mindset, look at some routines and procedures that they can use to have a math workshop in their class, and then explore the tools and strategies that they can use to support that really deep conceptual learning. And those sessions will be differentiated because there are differences in what the teachers would need and what they're addressing in their content. So we'll break that into 3 different groups. So really excited to have some time to work with the teachers and share what I've learned. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Figlioli, Mrs. Wells, and Mr. Cromie for your good news and bright spots for this month. I have a few more items to share with the board. I'll start with the books that I left at your seats tonight when you arrived from the board. These were the programs from last weekend's Shasda Student Conference, and 2 of our Bethel Park students were honored at that conference. You'll see them listed in the program. Both Annabelle Franzman and Connor O'Neill received those certificates of recognition for their accomplishments as high school students in Bethel Park. Coincidentally, Annabelle's at the Western Area Career and Technical Center, who are the ones that produced this printed book for the Shasda Scholarship event. So congratulations to those 2. Also want to acknowledge that we received notice that Madison Kowal, one of our student teachers, or substitute teachers, was recognized by the Pennsylvania chapter of the National State Teachers of the Year for an Apple Award for her successful work substituting in the Bethel Park schools. And also an acknowledgement that April is the month of the military child. This is a time to celebrate and recognize military-connected students and their families and emphasize the important role they play in the armed forces community. And so Bethel Park salutes, honors our military-connected families here in our schools. The last piece I had, it relates to the handout that I left for the board. This is the first of a series of presentations we'll give on the strategic planning process and progress. We've now had our plan better part of 5 months, and we've had some good progress in each of the 6 areas identified during the development process. I'll focus on just one of them tonight, and that would be the curriculum and instruction piece. Anthony, it's probably not a very good visual because it's such small print, but you can throw it up there if you don't mind. Yeah.
So after the meeting, for others in the audience, could we put it on board docs in the public section? I think we should be able to put it in the public section.
Yeah, for sure. So the curriculum instruction section of the strategic plan had 5 goals. The first goal was to ensure a comprehensive curriculum map, and that process actually we made some great progress. The board approved a mapping software system a month ago. We've met with the developers, and our maps are being produced right now. And we're looking forward to training our staff and our administrators on using that tool to complete the mapping process. The second goal is the consistent implementation of our curriculum, our interventions, our instructional practices, as evidenced by our advanced performance on national state assessments. A big piece of this would be our elementary curriculum mapping project that's going to be launching in the fall so that we can have curriculum maps taking what's currently in those black dusty binders in classrooms and digitizing that and then being able to modify it at an easy way, easy process. So that process is beginning, and I'm very much looking forward to the conversations that occur. I want to emphasize that the curriculum framework that we're using will really require thoughtful consideration by the teachers to map the big ideas, the essential questions, and the knowledge and skills that we want students to have by virtue of their participation in the class. A lot of the work there is still going to be ongoing. Of course, we have 5 years, set ourselves 5 years to accomplish all of these goals. The third one is to improve our special education students' performance, academic performance, particularly on state assessments. And to that end, we have already started training. Teachers have received preliminary training on universal design for learning, which is sort of a pedagogical approach, instructional approach to delivering meaningful instruction to all students regardless of their placement on the academic spectrum, and in making sure that they're fully included in the curriculum. Another piece of this would be data use of sort of data savviness. The board approved the adoption of the MAP assessment system last summer. We've had 2 administrations of that assessment, 1 more to go this year, and that's providing excellent data for our teachers on decision-making for instruction, student intervention opportunities, et cetera. The fourth goal is specifically regarding AP performance and state assessment performance improvements. Thanks to the grant from the NIMSI Foundation, the district has provided great AP training for our staff. Our students have received some supports with AP workshops, and we also have plans to continue growing that to our feeder courses so that they can get the same benefit of that rigorous instructional practices. And the last piece is the goal number 5 is sort of a standalone goal to ensure that all students will have a STEAM experience more than once a year throughout their 12 years as a student in the school district. Again, there's a lot of work to do there, and you'll see on this progress report that we've made some progress with this in 5 months' time, but we've given ourselves 5 years to get this completely accomplished. Grateful that we have a strong administrative team and excellent teachers to help us move all of this stuff forward towards our broader vision of being best in class. Unless there were questions about the report or anything else, I'd say that's the end.
I just want to say thank you for putting it together, and maybe just a little bit of background for others in the audience here. So I've been on the board 6 years. This is the first time we've actually had a strategic plan that we've reported on and mapped out what we want to be in 5 years, what our goals are, and then measure our progress against it. This is a first. I think it's fantastic. These aren't goals that just the 9 of us and a few others put together. This came from a series of subcommittees that met over the past year where people, parents, students, staff members, board members, everybody was involved identifying these goals and what are some of the elements of these goals that we felt were critical to our success over the next 5 years. And now those became action items for the administration and staff to work on. What Dr. Walsh just presented was the first update because we approved the strategic plan late last year. So now I've had a few months to put together, formulate, and do some activities behind each one of these goals. So as we go through the next, the rest of the year, every month, I believe, the plan is to update another chapter, another topic around a strategic plan. So we'll get through roughly each of the primary areas twice. We'll do 2 updates a year, roughly. So I think it's going to be a great opportunity for all of you that were either reading the strategic plan or a part of building the strategic plan to get an update on the progress we're making behind each one of these things. So it's really, congratulations. I mean, great work on putting the activities, documenting the activities, coming up with the reporting structure, but something that's going to be a part of every board meeting going forward, or every voting meeting going forward once a month. So thank you.
For sure. Yeah, I think the important part, and I'll just add this on to further clarify, I think the important piece is that we hold ourselves accountable to not just completing these, but it actually moves the needle. And so part of our reports in that graphic that we couldn't really read up on the screen is, baseline where we are and where we want to be over 5 years' time to move that needle, whether it's a measurement of achievement levels, of professional development deliveries, et cetera, what we expect to have metrics by which we can measure ourselves on all of these areas.
Right. Thank you. Any other questions on that? Do you have any other topics?
That's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda are public comments. So this will be open to any comments related to items on the agenda. Everybody has 2 minutes to speak. And are we entertaining call-ins also? Do we have any call-ins, Anthony? No? Okay.
Hi, Jim Means, 3485 South Park Road. I would like to ask the board to reject the course that's being proposed, Contributions, Successes, and Leaders. I had the occasion to be able to look at that this week and pulled it off of the internet, and it bears a remarkable resemblance to a previous course that was proposed, Struggles, Success, and Leadership. Through a right-to-know request last summer, I was able to gain a lot of information about the Struggles, Success, and Leadership. In fact, during this course of emails, it was suggested that they had to be discussed because of its possible relationship to CRT, while at the same time denying it. Now, these emails were between a group of people, including Vic D. Premprano, Janet O'Rourke, James Walsh, Joe Villani, Kathleen Gentile, and Ken Nagel was also mentioned on there. One of there were 6 units listed in this previous course, and one of them was exploring race, ethnicity, and prejudice, discriminations, ethnicity, and religion. Unit 2 was struggles. Unit 3 was successes. Unit 4 was leaders. Unit 5 was Pittsburgh minority experience. Unit 6 was moving forward. Now, the most chilling thing about this whole thing is the comment, each unit will encompass the following subgroups: Native Americans, Muslim and Arab Americans, Asian Americans, Jewish Americans, African Americans, Latino, the largest majority, Mexican Americans, and Puerto Ricans, American women. This is classic CRT, defining groups who are oppressed, and then if there's an oppressed group, there has to be an oppressor group. This is not really where we want to head in Bethel Park, I do not believe. The other thing I would like to mention very quickly is Dr. Walsh put up there that they want the best-in-class education for every student. And I would like to make the comment that I think some of the people need the advantage of the Dogwood Charter School. Not for everybody, but there are definitely some people that need it. So thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Mark Graham, 162 Highland Road. You said that I was to speak on the agenda. I did not come here because you were going to recognize that I was retiring, but I would like to address that first and foremost. And thank you, the board, for giving me the opportunity for the last almost 10 years to transport the kids to and from school. It has been a joy of my life, to be honest. And when I think about June 30th, and I think of, especially the little kids, I drive the kids at Lincoln, I will be saddened when I retire. I will miss these kids. One of the greatest joys was when they were able to take their masks off and I could see their smiling faces. I had surgery. So I missed the first 4 months of school. I actually had my surgery on the day of school, August 24th. So when I came back, some of the kids, I didn't even know them. From here up is all I saw until anyway. So but I thank you for the opportunity to serve Bethel Park in transporting our most precious commodity, our children, and I will miss that. But I did come here to talk about what Jim just brought up, and that is I thought this was a meeting about critical race theory. So my understanding of that is that kids are going to be taught, especially if they're white, that they're an oppressor. And if they're non-white, they're the oppressed. I gave 10 years of my life to serve in the military, okay? I have 3 honorable discharges. I've served with blacks, Latinos, Filipinos. I would have given my life for any one of them. And I'm sure they would have returned the favor. I am a white man, and I'm proud of that. But I am not a racist. And if that's what they're going to be teaching our kids, that if you're a white child, that you're a racist or you're a white supremacist, then I say it shouldn't be taught here in Bethel Park. I don't even know if that's what it is. But if it is, it shouldn't be taught here. So that's all I have to say. But if it is, I will fight against it, even as I'm a resident of Bethel Park, and I will fight against anyone who's pushing CRT. Once again, thank you for letting me drive the kids to school. It was a blessing.
Thank you, Mark. And if you know somebody to take your spot, please let us know, okay? Because we need more.
We do have a caller. Jillian, are you there?
Yes.
If you'd state your full name and address, you'll have 2 minutes to make your comments. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Julianne Bowles, 3237 Postgate Drive. I wanted to speak about the staffing changes on the agenda, particularly the half-day kindergarten position at George Washington that is set to be eliminated. Mrs. Chris Lucy was my daughter's kindergarten teacher last school year. It was a crazy school year, and she just rolled with everything. She made my daughter love school, and I believe that Mrs. Chris Lucy is the best of Bethel Park. Eliminating her position would be realizing many parents' greatest fears about the restructuring process that's going on. It's also my understanding that eliminating this position at George Washington would mean at least 24 students in each kindergarten class next year. My son is registered to be in one of those classes. So if this position is eliminated, he'll have 50% more students than his sister had in her classroom. So we may seek out an alternative. As Ken Mangle once reminded the board, the Pennsylvania State Education Association recommends kindergarten class size no larger than 18. I know there are real challenges ahead to address, but as the board contemplates eliminating not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but all 5 of our beloved neighborhood schools, we have to wonder how many other people and experiences our children are set to lose. That's pretty much it. I appreciate everyone's dedication and service, but I had to speak about Mrs. Cristofalusi tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the audience?
Hi, I'm Deanna Ford, 1009 Millennium Drive. I'm here as a Lincoln Elementary parent concerning the planned consolidation of multiple classes throughout the district, but specifically my daughter's first grade class at Lincoln. They currently have 4 sections of 19 students each, and on your agenda today it details the elimination of a first grade position but does not detail the addition of a second grade position. This would take their class down to 3 sections of second grade next year, resulting in class sizes of 25 or 26. This doesn't factor in the individual needs of students or students who may move into the district in the coming year. And as we've seen with the current Lincoln 4th grade class, which has continued to grow until students in our zone actually had to be turned away from Lincoln for 4th grade this year because their teachers have 27 students each. I know I don't need to tell you all that smaller class sizes lead to better educational outcomes, or that elementary students across the country are delayed because of COVID, or that our students showed more significant delays in math and science than those in surrounding districts, as was presented at your meeting in February. I know this isn't a new phenomenon and that classes are adjusted yearly as the enrollment changes, but I argue this year is different. Our children are coming off 2 years of pandemic education and they deserve better. They deserve to be a priority. I understand that what this comes down to is dollars and cents, and I know that money is tight and that the strategic plan is expensive, but I'm asking anyway. I'm asking you to dig through the budget again, find the money to pay for the staff. If you can't hire full union positions, at least open year-long sub-positions in classrooms threatened with high enrollments. This can then be reevaluated on a yearly basis. A petition condemning the planned consolidations was circulated last week and generated roughly 500 signatures in the first 24 hours. How can you all expect to hold yourselves and the teachers accountable to move the needle, as you said, and advance our children's education without making this investment? We have to invest in the current students at Bethel Park before considering only the future students, and I have 2 of those at home too. Please don't leave these kids behind. Protect them, their teachers, and their educations from slipping even further. Give them their best opportunity that you can to succeed.
We have another caller. Brendan, are you on the line?
Yes.
Okay, state your full name and address for the record, and then you have 2 minutes to make your comments. Go ahead.
My name is Brendan McCarthy. I live at 101 Jordan Drive. I'm calling in regards to the curriculum, the addition of the class, the minority class. I can't understand why this is even a question to give kids this option. No one's forcing them to take anything. They have the choice if they want to take it. We are one of the least diverse school districts around us. And I think we can find a way to teach our kids a little bit about the history of this country and some of the atrocities that have gone on. That's the first thing. Second thing, in regards to the surveys, I really hope we're not just going to get rid of those. I really hope we're gonna keep those surveys and figure out, about bullying, figure out about, there's a lot of problems going on right now with kids, and I think we should be asking them how they feel in our schools right now. And that's all I got to say. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay. I think she was going to, but if
No, you go. It's my first meeting. I'm a noob. I'm sorry. This is nerve-wracking, too. It's warm in here. My name is Samantha Lee, 5380 Library Road. I'm a Bethel Park mother of 3. This is my first in-person school board meeting. I've watched the broadcasts, I've signed petitions and things like that, but I think it's important to take this next step. I've also observed the work of all of you on this board, and while I may not agree with every decision, I'm extremely thankful for your service to our community. I homeschool my children, which is partially why I haven't been here. Somewhere along the line, I convinced myself that my opinion didn't matter in this conversation, and that's not the truth. Homeschool families are just as invested in education as anyone else. We also pay the same school taxes as our neighbors who utilize the public school system. I have a background working with K through 12 victims of abuse, and I currently co-manage a homeschool center serving a diverse population of families. I would like to address actually the school climate surveys. I think it's extremely admirable to create an environment that is welcoming and accepting of all. And at first glance, this survey may seem harmless enough, but too often I think seemingly innocuous things lead to more nefarious purposes. Edison said, "A good intention with bad approach often leads to a poor result." This survey has good intentions, but I feel like it's flawed in its approach. Surveys like this come across as nothing more than disingenuous virtue signaling. If you want children to feel included, stop dividing them. These surveys create the very division that they seek to prevent. They make students categorize themselves and others into potential victim groups instead of seeing each other as equals. How do you empower people to feel valuable when you first force vulnerability and uncertainty on them? They search for problems with no real solutions. Classifying anyone as marginalized only comes from a place of perceived superiority, which in my opinion is a greater problem. Victim mindset discourages accountability and merit-based accomplishments. We should have the responsibility, all of us, to equip children with the tools necessary for life's challenges, and we should be doing that by encouraging fortitude to overcome obstacles rather than discouraging them with defeatist surveys and self-limiting mentalities.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, I'm just asking you politely just to wrap up.
Sure, I'm done. Fostering gratitude, just not victimhood. Let's create more victors, not victims. I just truly hope you reconsider, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'm Kim Bassetti. I live at 3324 Forest Road, and mine is staffing, the position changes. I agree with everything the Lincoln mom said, except I'm coming from Washington, where last year you asked parents to move their kids to William Penn voluntarily, hired 2 new teachers, and are now eliminating 4 positions, not 2. That'll be 27 kids in a 2nd grade class. We have 62 kids currently enrolled in the 3rd grade class where my daughter is, and the only position you're adding is a 4th grade position. I'm failing to see how these, there's a 20-year position and a 17-year position that no longer are needed, and I don't understand why that is. I personally know the 2 people. They've both had my daughter. I couldn't think of 2 better teachers, and that would be what you would want representing the district, and they're unceremoniously being cut. And I can't see, if there is that big a change in enrollment, then I don't see it as a staffing problem. It's a problem, are that many kids moving out of the district that now we can go from 18 to 27? We have 16 and 17, and now those kids will be in classes of 25. We're near 30 kids in a class now at Washington, and the only thing we're doing is splitting up the 62 in 4th grade. These kids went through a pandemic. These kids that are coming through into 4th grade now are going to be the biggest indicators of the lack of education that they got during that online. So I just would like you to reconsider.
So if anybody else has questions on the class size and those opening and closing positions tonight, please, we want to hear your comments. But Dr. Walsh will also, when we get to that part of the agenda, he'll explain, that isn't the full picture of what we're voting on tonight. There will be, other changes as we go through, middle part of the summer. But he'll explain the process and why this particular motion is on tonight. But it doesn't represent the entirety of positions we'll be opening either, okay? Any other comments?
Hi, everybody. Christina Headley, 5881 Irishtown Road. I'm always here talking, sorry. I just wanted to address the climate survey, especially for the high schoolers, when it's asking about marginalizing, majority, struggling learners, where do you fit in? I think that if we're going to utilize a survey to help with the safety of our kids, we need to ask how they're feeling. We need to ask how they've struggled through COVID. How is their learning? Are they comfortable? Are they struggling? What are the best techniques that they can learn? That's what we need in school to help them grow. And back to last week, I think it was, when Mr. Scalzo was talking about getting back to basics of reading and math. That's what we need. If these kids don't have that, they don't have anything to build off of. The social studies curriculum, it's already built into courses we have, so why duplicate that for our kids? I have a high schooler. There's honors classes that like honors chem, then there's AP chem. Which one should she take? She should take AP because then she may get college credit, but she may not like it, so should she take honors? It's great that we have selection, but in the opportunities that we have for our students, I think if we make it smaller, because then they get more opportunities. Maybe they could take AP or honors chem, and the next year, instead of taking honors chem, then AP chem, they could take honors or AP chem, and then take a biology class and get a full curriculum that's all different and gives them different bases to help decide what they want to do. It's just my opinion, but I feel we need to give these kids these opportunities. They had a hard time through the struggles of COVID, and that needs to be addressed with their learning needs.
Hello. If you'll excuse me while I read off my phone what I wrote. My name is Cece McNulty. I live at 5563 Clarine Drive. I don't usually come here. I'm disgusted that I have to be here. I found out that there was a lot of people writing to or calling the board about CRT or whatever their agenda is, and I sent you guys an email, and I wanted to read it to make it a part of the public record so people knew where some of us stand. I'm writing to you today regarding the agenda items of the school district climate surveys and concerns arising in the community about diversity, equity, and inclusion. The buzz that I've heard is that you've all received many emails from conservatives and Republicans and very few from Democrats regarding the use of the data included in the surveys. The reason being is that there is no Democratic agenda in Bethel Park to force any of you to adopt what this right wing is calling a woke agenda. I didn't have a form letter to cut and paste into an email to send to all of you. I didn't have a list of talking points to use to shape my email to you. I, like many of you, am exhausted by the fire hose of news, which wants to make every issue a conspiracy theory or a war to be waged. There's no agenda here. We want to live in a safe, happy community where everyone has the opportunity to thrive and live their version of the American dream. While most of you were running for school board, I did help get you guys elected. I did some work locally because that's what Democrats do. The only person that I didn't support with my vote was Gail Hoppe. But I did say to people, as I was talking to people in the neighborhoods, that she would be an asset to this board because she was a mom who raised kids, put them through public school, and her kids are in the military, like mine. So she understands that America is more than just lily white Bethel Park. This mob mentality is going to lead to violence. And I want the children who are marginalized to be safe, but I also want our tax dollars to be safe from lawsuits that will lead from this. We need to live in the moment, and we need to understand that marginalized children and kids who have problems need to be a priority. They're not something that we should be afraid
Cece, can I
of.
ask you to wrap up? It's
Oh, I'm
beyond
done,
the
I'm
2
done, I'm
minutes.
done.
Okay,
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Any other comments? Any other call-ins? No? Let's move on to the
My name is Marcy Yee. I live at 5863 Wallace Avenue. Couple things. Please allow those students who want to take a survey to see if their social, emotional, and educational needs are being met to do so. Please avoid overcrowding our elementary classes rooms and do not eliminate those positions. They are very much needed. And please approve the recommended course, Contributions, Success, and Leaders for all high school grade levels. 19 years ago, a Bethel Park principal saw my baby and asked me, when did I get her? She was the first of countless very well-intentioned, kind people who just assumed that my child was adopted from China because Asian people can't be from here. Learning about people with similar appearances, backgrounds, and beliefs as yourself is beneficial. Learning about people who do not look the same as you and are from different cultures, economical, political, and economic backgrounds is not just important, it is imperative for our young adults to positively flourish within our society. My parents and grandparents did not teach me everything I needed to know about grammar, science, advanced math, and history. They did not have the resources to do so. I learned those things while in my public school. As a parent myself now, I do not have the resources to properly teach my children about the different cultures, artistic, economical, political, historical, economic, and social aspects of American minority communities. But the Bethel Park School District does have these resources. Teaching our children that we are not all the same and teaching them that it is okay to have different backgrounds. It's okay to have different beliefs, and it's okay to have different opinions is empowering our children to listen to, learn from, and work with others. This is a skill that is so desperately needed right now. Thank you all very much for your time and service to our community, and I appreciate all of your opinions too. I think everybody is here because they care. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Michaela. I live at 5863 Wallace Avenue. And really quick, as the minority, I'd like to say that being a minority doesn't mean a victim, just because I heard that brought up a lot. I recently graduated in 2021 from Bethel, and as a recent student, I'm in favor of the survey, just because they're a great way for students to express their opinions. And it's understandable that not all students would like to take the survey, and if that's the case, they can just ignore it. But I do think it's to the benefit of the students to make decisions and to give their input. I'm also in favor of the newly proposed Contributions, Successes, and Leaders course. Growing up, I have struggled with my biracial identity because throughout my entire Bethel Park educational experience, I haven't seen historical figures that I can resonate with. Being excluded from the narrative has negatively impacted my development of identity. It is so difficult to imagine yourself as being successful when you are not provided with role models. Not once in history class was there someone's face that I could look into and find a piece of my own. Not being included in the American narrative has resulted in countless questions from my friends and from Bethel Park students of, where are you from? What does this mean? Are you going to eat my dog? And what do you mean you can't speak Chinese? And I can't blame them for this question because the reality is that they've never been taught to recognize people who look like me as an American. Providing students with the opportunity to enroll in this class would help further their education as well as their mindfulness. I can only speak on my own experiences, but I feel that it is safe to say that other non-white, black/brown, or racially diverse people would all feel better represented and have more faith in the possibility of their success at Bethel Park if they were able to recognize themselves in the classroom. It's so difficult to look around the room and not see someone who looks like you. And it's even more difficult whenever that's being taught in the classroom that people don't look like you where you live. Thanks.
Any other comments? None on the phone? Let's move on to the business items of the agenda. First up is the consent agenda. Ms. Hoppe, can you move that? But before you do, are there any items from this list that people would like to see removed from the consent agenda for a separate vote? No? Okay. Ms. Hoppe, if you could take that
Sure.
section.
So I propose to move the consent agenda with, how many items? Oh, my goodness.
29.
29 items. Do you want me to read all those?
No, I don't think you have to read all of them. Just move
Okay,
all of them.
let's move all 29 items, please.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Motion is made by Ms. Hoppe, seconded by Mr. Scalzo. Any comments or questions on these before we vote? Okay.
Voting is open. Motion carries.
Thank you. Mr. McGregor, personnel.
Okay, tonight there are 9 or 8 points here. Excuse me. You have the ratification of the Bethel Park Federation of Teachers, CBA, approval of extra duty responsibility program, acceptance of resignations, appointment of personnel, change of assignment, approval of staffing changes, approval of extended school year program, and approval of staffing changes.
Are we taking these one at a time?
Yes, please.
Any comments or questions?
If you can move item number
Yes, I move
one
item-
first, and I think Anthony has a presentation.
Okay.
We should probably move it second.
I move one.
Second it.
So the motion was made by Mr. McGregor and seconded by Mr. Gresbeck. Anthony, do you want to, as a part of our discussion on this topic, do you want to make the presentation?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the time. Real quick, we're going to do a summary of the new agreement. First up is the ratification of the collective bargaining agreement. It's a 3-year CBA. And before we all got together, we went through the strategic plan process, and that was heavy on our minds when we first started to sit down and put a proposal together. We knew that we wanted to accomplish a lot of things within the curriculum and instruction, and we knew that we had the staff to do that. So when we sat down to negotiate, we thought to ourselves, what is going to get us to best in class? And we feel with this CBA, it's a start to get us to best in class, and that's what we want to accomplish. Couple milestones real quick is that we met with the board before we met with the Federation in December to kind of get a framework and priorities with the school board and kind of figure out where we want to go. We kept this in mind along with the strategic plan. Come January, we are ready to meet with the Federation. We establish procedures, and we also exchange first proposals. From there, we met weekly and bi-weekly for 4 months to go through the negotiations process. We also cleaned up the contract. There was a lot of MOUs out there that we incorporated the MOUs into the contract and cleaned up a lot of language. Not only did we focus on curriculum and leadership, but we also focused on day-to-day operations. We felt that with the day-to-day operations, if we were able to settle those, it gave the Federation staff the opportunity to really shine and do what they have to do in regards to taking us best in class. And that's kind of what we focused on. We worked together on a lot of these items. And you'll see the areas with major changes here. All the articles are on there. I won't go through every single one because we'll be here for another hour. So I'll kind of keep this short and sweet. But we really wanted to focus on the curriculum piece. Within the curriculum piece, we're adding department facilitators, more department facilitators, because we felt that, you know, we can do great things with that. We also put a curriculum council together. Within the curriculum council, this is the process where they'll approve, review, deny any proposals that come across in regards to curriculum. So we're working together with the Federation in regards to the curriculum. Another thing is the vacancies and transfers. Starting next year, we really want to streamline that process when it comes to vacancies and transfers. A lot of the movements within the 5 elementary buildings, we're trying to streamline that. You also see with class size, the Federation and the district came together to actually decrease the limited class size at the elementary level. So that was another part of the CBA that we thought working together would really accomplish us to get the best in class. So.
The only thing I'd like to add is I would like to thank the union negotiating team, Mr. Wells and Mr. Haar. I think while it's not always easy to come together at the table and we have to talk about some difficult things, I appreciated the collaboration, the willingness to talk through the difficult issues. We really kept it professional, and I really respect what they brought, and I thought that made the process work even better than many of the places I've been in the past that can get very contentious. While we didn't always agree, we did manage to work through those difficult issues, so I appreciate their efforts and their time as well.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you to the whole team negotiating this. And I would say that, you know, for those in the audience, you know, we talked, Dr. Walsh gave an update on our strategic plan before, but here's some other evidence of the value of going through that exercise, because we were able, as a board and administrative team, to identify what are the priorities, based on what we want to accomplish the next 5 years, what's most important for us to focus on through negotiation. And I think that it was helpful for us. I think that, you know, where there was negotiation, it was from the standpoint of, you know, getting, you know, more value from both sides. And so I think that was a fantastic tool, you know, to be used to help guide us through setting our priorities. Any other comments, questions from the board? Or Anthony and Doug, were you guys done? Any other comments, questions from the board?
Good job. Come over and negotiate my contract.
So open up for voting. I will abstain due to conflict of interest.
Voting is open. Motion carries.
Thank you.
We do have the contract here if we want to take the time to sign it. I know they're here to do as well.
Can we, if it's okay, can we just, I don't think the rest of our voting meeting should take that long. If we could just finish this up
That's
and
fine.
then do that. Is that okay? Is that okay with you? Do you have, you won't turn into pumpkins or anything or anything like that? Okay. Okay. We'll try to hurry. We'll try to hurry. Okay. Okay. Mr. McGregor, can you continue with the rest of these? I think we can probably do the next 7 together.
6. Okay,
Am I looking
I
at the wrong
move the
section?
approval of extra duty responsibility programs, the acceptance of resignations, the appointee of personnel, the change of assignment, the approval of staffing changes, and approval of extended school year program.
Is there a second? Is that you, Buffy?
Yes.
Okay. Motion made by Mr. McGregor, seconded by Ms. Fay. Vice, sorry. Can't think and talk at the same time. Oh.
Voting is open.
To be clear on that, did we move items 2 through 7 or
That's correct. You will
just
move
2 through 7?
items 2 through 7.
Okay, just want to double check. Thank you.
Motion carries.
Can you move item 8, and then Mr. Walsh, as a part of the discussion, will explain?
Okay, agreement, what, and I just lost it. Okay, approval of staffing changes, I move that.
Is there a second?
Second.
So it's moved by Ms. McGregor, seconded by Ms. Turner. Mr. Walsh, can you give us a little bit of a kind of explanation regarding the stage of the process that we're at right now with the whole opening and closing of positions?
Well, this is something that the board has to do on a regular basis throughout the spring and into the early summer. In fact, the board may recall back in July, you opened 2 more positions as the class size warranted. One of the things that that's holding up the process really was getting the CBA completed, because there's some more work we can do with ESSER's money about class size. So tonight's motion is getting us one step closer to completing our staffing assignments for the 22-23 school year, but there's going to be more work to do without a doubt. We haven't even finished kindergarten registration yet. That dictates a lot. Numbers are changing every day, so that will be something that comes back up again as the numbers arrive. And I think it's also important to note to the board that despite some of the information you're receiving via email, no one's losing jobs here. Everybody's job is protected.
So I would say this will be on our agenda for the next probably 2 months, at least revisiting these kinds of things, at least 2 months. So I would say if it's something you're concerned about and you care about, follow it closely. Continue to come to the meetings. I'm actually very happy to see so many people here, and we appreciate hearing from all of you. So, yes, this will continue to develop over the next couple months.
The staffing changes, as Dr. Walsh said, there are no furloughs. They may move schools, but there are no furloughs. My concern, and I will continue to watch 2 areas that are in high numbers. As Mr. Puccineri explained, the school board and the Federation came up with a number of 23 students per class. That is down from 25 students per class that was negotiated. There's several people in the back shaking their head yes. We are getting there. But unless you want to redistrict before a new elementary center, that's too much in me as a parent. That's too much of moving my child around. They still know the faces that walk into that building every day. So I would tell you, again, as Dr. Walsh said, in July, we added teachers. We hired in July. The process needs to move, but I would also encourage every parent out there that has a kindergarten child to please register. Registration for kindergarten is down. It is lower than where it was last year at this time. So please register your students so we get a true number. Because I can't make decisions off of ifs.
What about the students that are already enrolled and registered? Are you anticipating a mass exodus?
Ma'am, we have to make sure that we all engage in the process correctly here. This is a time for the board to be speaking and asking any questions on the motion that's on the floor, and not for the public.
There'll be additional public comments at the end.
At the end.
If you can just remember that, ask us.
So again, as Mr. Christensen said, I encourage you to come back, but I encourage you to watch the process, because in the end, Washington gained 2 teachers last year because numbers were high. So please, please watch the process.
Mr. McCausland.
Okay.
I do have a question. So because the numbers keep fluctuating,
and we're going to be looking at, the numbers of students in kindergarten, first grade, families moving around or moving in. Could you provide a financial outlook, maybe not tonight, but a month from now, because it's still fluid and there's going to be kids maybe moving back and forth? But
Yeah, it's always a major part of our budget discussion every year.
And maybe next month you can kind of give us a really solid big picture look at that. And if we needed to add a teacher or two, how would that look? Do we have the capacity? Can we do it? Maybe next month we can look at something like that.
Sure, we can look at it. I mean, I can tell you off the top of my head that each new teacher you add to the budget is about $100,000 with salary and benefits.
And, are you done? Are you done? You done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Mr. McCausland, can you tell the people out here what the impact was of the millage change in 2019 to the effect of our teachers and how much we do not have in the budget at this time?
Well, I mean, we looked at that I got here, almost 2 years ago now, and you had a period of 4 years, I think, where you didn't raise millage at all, and then you had a period where you dropped millage almost 1.9 mils in 1 year. That alone cut $4.8 million in revenue from this district. If I go back, and I've done some of the math before, if you look at those 8-year periods, you have now since raised taxes to the millage twice, and you're only back 3.8 million. You've never got back to where you were 4 years ago. If you had raised taxes even a minor amount, like 2% over that 8-year period, you'd have in excess of $10 million more in your budget, which would not be an issue with adding staff at that point. But you're not in that situation. We had a $5 million deficit the year I came, and the only thing that really saved you was the ESSER's money and the fact that you didn't spend some of your expenditures because kids weren't in class. So you had a one-time flux of all the ESSER's money that kind of patched the hole, so to speak, for you that year.
So the part of this is the millage cut has handicapped some of the budgetary constraints.
You're never going to get that money back because you missed out on it.
So again, that's an academic disadvantage to our students. So again, I'm going to encourage you to watch month to month. Things will change.
I'd also like to just thank everyone who emailed about this issue. I hope that the fact that we're not laying off any teachers is encouragement to a lot of you, but I've only been on the board a short time, but this is definitely the most substantive comments we've received about any issues that are actually really impacting the students at Bethel Park. So like Ms. Turner and Mr. Christensen said, please, stay engaged, stay emailing us, stay watching the meetings, and, hold us accountable.
You open up for voting if there's no other questions.
Voting is open. Motion carries.
Ms. Scalzo, Curriculum Committee.
All right, we'll take these one at a time. Under Curriculum Committee, we have items 1 through 4. First one's approval of Social Studies Curriculum 2, School Climate Surveys 3, Dogwood Charter School Application 4, High School Elective Courses. Item 1, I will move item 1, approval of Social Studies Curriculum.
Second.
So it's moved by Mr. Scalzo, seconded by Mr. Kreisbeck. Any comments?
Yes, pick me. Here's what I'm going to say. First of all, I appreciate everybody's emails. I got a ton. Some were hate mails, some were positive, but I enjoyed reading all of them. I want to know everybody's point of view. And I do believe that the most important thing we've heard tonight is from a student who is living right now in the school district and is experiencing this. So this is this is not a mandatory course. If your child doesn't want to take it, they don't have to take it. It doesn't cost us any money. We don't have to order books, and it exposes kids to other cultures. And I'm an educator, so I'll do this and just say that study after study shows that exposure to cultural diversity, I wrote it down because I can't go off the cuff because I flip out. Exposure to cultural diversity improves cognitive ability, problem-solving skills, decision-making skills, creativity, and innovation. So I really think that we need to focus on the reality in front of us, which is while math and English are incredibly important, and they are, we also have to be interested in helping our kids become kind contributors to society. And acceptance is one of the biggest things. This is an elective. You don't have to take it. Your kids don't have to look at it. So I don't understand what the big deal is. We got, as many emails against it as we did for it. So those kids could take the course. We don't have to hire another teacher. I don't see what the big deal is. And that's my piece. I think we should look at the students and not at what we are fighting about, because we're grown-ups. Like, I want to know what all of you think. I may not agree. I probably don't with most of the people, but I want to know because it helps me to understand other people. That's all. So I approve it. I say go for it.
I'd also like to speak out in favor of adding the courses and just adopting the overall social studies curriculum. Dr. Walsh laid out some of our strategic plan. Specifically, he focused on curriculum. And item number 4 in the curriculum specifically spoke to increasing our standardized test performance. And one of those areas is the AP program. Adding the microeconomics course that's included in the social studies program would serve to do that. So I think it's a very good resource to have for our students. As I spoke to last week, I took the class personally in high school, allowed me to get a good jump on my minor in economics. Also, diversity, equity, inclusion, items 2 and 3 would be furthered by the addition of the other course, the contributions, successes, and leaders. As a former Bethel Park student spoke to, a lot of times our core social studies courses don't always focus on the perspectives and the contributions of those groups. Whenever I took my social studies classes, I didn't have a problem finding people that looked like me. It wasn't an issue. It was very easy to aspire to something because I could see someone who looked exactly like me. Not all students currently have that opportunity in Bethel Park. This course would serve to do that. Again, like Ms. Feist said, it's not a mandatory course. It's completely optional. In fact, if we don't get the number of students to run the course, it won't be run. So I think we should allow the students to make that decision of whether or not this is a course that they think would be beneficial to them.
I agree with all of that. I would also like to specifically thank Michaela for coming and speaking to us tonight. We appreciate hearing from you. That was very brave, and it was very powerful, and I'm very sorry that you had that experience in our district. And no student should have that experience in our district. That is not okay, and that is not who we are. We don't bully people by holding up necklaces at each other. Come on. Let's be grown-ups. Everyone in our district needs to be able to work with other people. When children leave our district, they go into a workforce in a world where they need to get along. They need to be able to talk to coworkers without getting fired and in trouble. They need to be able to understand other people's points of views and experience the world from other people's eyes and care about one another. And I don't want what happened to you to be repeated. This course allows students who choose to take it to get to know people from other cultures and find out their celebrities, their leaders, they're musicians, they're artists. Why would that ever be a bad thing? It's not a bad thing. I support this elective.
Any other board comments on this? No. I would just say that when it comes to this social studies class around leadership, I would say I've talked to people who are responsible for the course. Some of the comments that came up would lead you to believe there's some kind of hidden agenda within our curriculum department to teach critical race theory. That's complete BS, okay? It really is. However, the fact that you've had so many emails and such divisiveness over this, it tells me we've done a terrible job of communicating what is actually in this class. And what I would like to see with the contract we just ratified, there's a fantastic area, a new program, new way to adopt curriculum through the Curriculum Council. I think this would be a fantastic test to run this course through that so we can see more of the details, focus more on, see more what that final course is going to be. I love the fact, because I think they're great teaching examples, I love the fact of teaching successes and even failures of people. I think it's a great learning opportunity. I'd love to see that. So, but I'd also like to see more of the details of, the how, the who, that sort of thing. So anyway, that's what I'd like to see. So I won't support it at this point only because of that.
I'm with you, Mr. Christensen. I'd like to see more of the details. I'd like to see where we're going and what we're doing and the details of what is in the curriculum. And I totally agree with you. There is one movie that I've made my senior in high school watch 3 times, and it is put on by ABC Sports. It's called The Thrill of Victory and the Agony of Defeat. And they have to learn both. But there's curriculum, the new curriculum model I think will help straighten some of this out and really shed a light on what is in there, because I had some struggles with it and what was in there, just not being able to understand where we were going. So that's where I am. But again, my 7-year-old loves it. He thinks it's a crazy show, but I'm trying to stress to my 18-year-old that there are good things and bad things. And life is not all good and all bad, but there are things that you have to learn from it. And again, if you have a high schooler watching that, it is on YouTube now. It is called The Thrill of Victory and the Agony of Defeat. I would encourage you to do it.
Real quick point out to the board, just for clarification, that the current curriculum process requires the board to approve a course before it's written. So Mrs. Walsh-Turner, you haven't seen the course curriculum yet because it hasn't been written yet. That process begins with your approval to develop the course, and then the teachers would then be authorized with funding to spend time writing the curriculum and developing syllabi and materials, et cetera.
So to clarify, in order to begin the process that Mr. Christensen and Ms. Turner have asked for, we need to vote to approve the process
Correct.
this evening
Correct.
to have what they're asking for.
Let me clarify, though, that I'd like to them just go through the new curriculum process that we are about to do in July. I think it'll be an open process.
Dr. Walsh, what additional information would that give us besides the previous resources that we were provided for that course, in addition to YouTube videos, handouts, things like that, the course outline?
Yeah, so that outline was more than we normally get. I think the social studies department was trying to be as transparent as they could without making extra work for the department to write the course without approval. So that outline and that list of resources and materials were things that they would consider including in the course development.
Understood. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments? Okay. You want to bring up the vote?
Voting is open. Motion fails. 3 yea, 6 nay.
Mrs. Scalzo, next item.
On item number 2, school climate surveys, I move item 2.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's moved by Ms. Scalzo, seconded by Mr. Greisbeck. Any comments?
I have a comment. It's not mandatory. And while I will say this, I do not think that this is the best way to, I don't think that the survey is the best way to find the information, and certainly not to point out the struggling kids specifically, because it is anonymous, and some of the questions are vague. We don't have an alternate. So had we said, okay, we're not going to do that survey, but we're going to do this instead, then I might vote against the survey. But right now we don't have anything. So while there's it's anonymous, maybe some kid is going to say this is happening. Maybe one person. Maybe the rest of you don't fill it out. Your kids don't have to. It's what's it called? Not mandatory. So my thing is that we don't have anything else in place. And if one person fills something out on there that says this is happening, that's one kid. That's still a win. So I say that because it's optional, we can pass it. It doesn't cost us anything. Again, it's literally, you don't have to fill it out if you don't want. Delete it. Who cares? But I do think that we don't have anything else, and what's the big deal?
Dr. Jansani, could you speak to the requirement that you mentioned previously about performing a kind of like a safety and wellness survey from the state level?
We as you know, we occasionally get audited regarding our school safety protocol. There are recommendations that come forth from that audit. They make notes on things that we do, and then they make recommendations on things that we don't perhaps do, but we are not in any violation whether we do a survey or not. They do recommend that we do a survey based upon safety for students and staff.
Thank you for the clarification.
Sure.
And you think that this survey would, I guess, satisfy that recommendation?
It would. That's their recommendation. Once again, it's not required, but it is noted that we do not do it.
Understood. Thank you.
Sure.
Dr. Walsh, I think a lot of the audience thinks that the survey is something that's just arising now, this year. Is this something that was going on previously, and could you tell us about that?
Well, I can't speak to anything before last year, but during last spring, we did conduct a climate survey of the high school students and the IMS students.
So this is the same as last year, but the survey has changed a little,
it's a shorter
but it's the
version.
process.
Yeah, the process was, well, no, it was actually very different last year because it was administered during school. The approval tonight would not, those surveys would not be administered during school. They would be sent via email home for families to do together or to not do together. So that's different than last year, and this survey also is a shorter version of last year's survey. It was streamlined.
Okay, so we had a survey last year, and this one is streamlined?
Yes.
And this one is an opt-in?
Yes.
And it is sent home to parents who can choose to do it or give it to their child?
Yes.
And those things are all different from the one that was last year?
Correct.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And is there a state survey or something that this was loosely based on?
Yeah, there is a state climate survey.
Okay, thanks.
I'd just like to thank the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee that put a lot of work into creating the survey. They made sure that a variety of different voices were heard. Student voices, parent voices, various community members, administration, staff, experts in this sort of thing. While this survey is a little bit different than what they had recommended, I still think it is better than not giving anything to our students, and I think it has the opportunity to identify some areas in which students are at risk. The example I gave last week was, say for instance, we find that a large percentage of our students feel uncomfortable or unsafe on the buses. That's something that we could use and maybe implement more bus aids to make sure that our students are safer in school.
Any other board comments, questions? You can bring up the vote.
Voting is open. Motion fails. 3 yea, 6 nay.
The The next item on the agenda, I'm going to ask the solicitor to provide a little bit of explanation for, for the people here. We had a hearing just before this public meeting started, so obviously there was no content on the agenda, so our solicitor is going to explain the process for this step.
Thank you. So I'll just give a little overview for the board because we did put this into the agenda with a placeholder in it. We will be needing to make a motion on the floor to amend what's written here and adding either the word grant or deny in the placeholder section. I would just ask board members to recall, so there are two options here. Your administration recommended that the charter application be denied. The board certainly, in hearing the public comment and hearing the debate earlier this evening, may choose to reject the proposal of the administration and grant the charter. It is up to the board, as everything else is, and the debate around that and any discussion or questions need to happen on the floor here tonight. So if theoretically a board member is seeking to, and maybe Mr. Scalzo would make this motion, since it's under his section, it would state that the Board of School Directors denies the charter application resubmitted by Dogwood Charter if the board seeks to go with the recommendation of your administration. And it would, of course, say the opposite if that is what you wish to do. Okay? Any questions on procedure? So we'll amend the motion first, and then we'll take a vote on the substantive text of the motion after the blank is filled in. Okay?
So you want me to?
The main motion has a blank?
The main motion has a blank until you amend it. So the first
Okay.
motion
Just wanna
that
make
you as a
sure.
board are going to have to do is motion to
Okay.
amend the
All right.
text on the agenda to read the Board of School Directors and then fill in the blank.
Okay.
You need
Okay.
to move this first and then amend.
Move the change. We're going to move the change in the agenda item first.
Okay.
Take a vote on that and then move the substantive agenda item.
So I'm moving the Board of School Directors denies the charter application.
You're going to move to amend.
Move to amend
Yes, the agenda.
the agenda item. For it to say the Board of Directors denies the charter application resubmitted by Dogwood Charter School on February 28th, 2022. The board adopts and will issue the written decision of education to the applicant.
Is there a second? So it's moved by Mr. Scalzo, seconded by Mr. Greisbeck. And now, any discussion on this? So what we're discussing here and what we vote on is how the blank in the agenda was filled out. It was filled out based on the recommendation of the administration. But we're not voting on the actual motion. It's just the change that was made to the agenda item. Okay. Okay.
As long as everybody's comfortable in understanding what you're voting on, you may move to vote.
So we're voting right now just to put a word in
Just
there. We're
to
not
put a
voting
word in the
to.
blank.
Just to put denies, correct?
Okay, now.
Okay.
Voting is open on the amendment. Motion carries.
So, Mr. Scalzo, if you could move the motion now.
Okay.
With the blank filled in, and please read the full.
I'd like to move item 3. The Board of School Directors denies the charter application resubmitted by Dogwood Charter School on February 28th, 2022. The board adopts and will issue the written decision of the adjudication to the applicant.
Second.
So moved by Mr. Scalzo, seconded by Mr. Greisbeck.
I just wanted to quickly make a note around procedure. The next step that will occur is a decision adjudication will be issued, formalizing the motion that was just approved.
Can I clarify that they will get a copy of the report from the school district, correct?
That is correct. It has to be issued to the charter applicant. So once the adjudication that has been authorized by the school board this evening is completed, it will be sent to the applicant.
Voting is open on this issue. Motion carries 8-1.
Okay, Mr. Scalzo, last item in curriculum, high school elective courses.
All right. Mr. Villani is online to explain any of this. Number 4, high school elective courses. I move item 4.
Second.
It was moved by Mr. Scalzo, seconded by Mr. Modrak.
Yeah, questions?
Yeah, any questions?
Yep. Mr. Villani, could you please explain the high school elective courses here? Just go ahead and give us a quick summary of what's happening.
Yes, thank you for having me. So tonight, similar to the processes in master schedule creation, what we're putting in front of the board tonight is our initial demand tallies from our winter registration. What this consists of is students that have pre-selected their coursework. So the recommendations in front of you have under 18 demand tallies at this time. So the motion tonight is allowing us to start to create the master schedule. Unlike sections in an elementary school or middle school, high school students have 9 period days, where a full-time schedule consists of 7 classes. So looking at these numbers, while there are under 18 in their sections, a lot of these courses could still be cut based on the enrollment. A lot of them are run co-run, so we increase the numbers. Again, the approval tonight allows these electives to run. I think something that's interesting to point out, 9 of the classes that were on last year's under 18 list are all well over 25 this year. So again, this does stand to change. Once students, we talk about our music program, our science labs, electives. A lot of times students select classes. They don't always get those classes the way the schedule runs. We have another 15 to 20 parochial and charter schools that come in through 9th grade. So while we do run these courses in our master schedule, we do evaluate them again. And if anything is significantly low, typically under 10 to 12, we typically do cut those classes, combine them, or make a motion on those. So tonight's vote to approve these under 18 courses allow us to move forth with them in the schedule. Again, we have an add drop period that goes into 10 days of the school year. So it does afford us the opportunity, once the schedules are released in August, for students to start making an appointment, add to these sections. And again, it gives us a very well-rounded variety. A lot of these courses are in sequence with other courses. And again, a lot of them run together, actually putting those numbers close to, if not over 18, once combined. So.
Thank you, Mr. Villani. I have one more thing that I want to mention to Mr. Villani, or maybe even just ask him. Could you please provide us Bethel Park High School's rankings currently? I know that you've been working really hard over the last couple of years. Can you kind of give us an update on the rankings?
Yeah, one of the things that came out a couple of years ago that the district was looking at, we have a series of rankings. Ms. Wells, Ms. Figlioli shared some of our data from last year, which is on the up. Dr. Walsh shared some of the things we're doing with NIMSY and AP scores. The U.S. News and World Report did come out. I know about a year, 2 years ago, there were some concerns about where we were falling in some of those rankings. I am proud to announce that we are trending upward in the sense that we are performing higher there. In the Metro Pittsburgh area, again, this is not indicative of where we want to be. We are continuing, but we are trending upwards. This year's rankings was a little disrupted. So some of the performance data and some of the encouraging things are that 50% of this was based on the college readiness and some of those factors from last year, but some of this is still from data from 2-3 years ago as well. Knowing what we did on the Future Ready Index, it's actually pretty encouraging with the AP scores coming up and things there. But we did, in the Pittsburgh Metro area, we were 46 in the previous rankings. We're now 39. Nationally, 221. I'm sorry, in the state, 221 to 174. Again, knowing the data that we had last year's performance, and just knowing with the NIMSY initiative and the amount of students taking AP tests, we are really encouraged that this is an upward trend that's going to continue into next year's rankings as well when we get some things back. We also had some distinguished areas with our special education population, our students identified as economically disadvantaged, both in achievement and growth, and that came forth on the Future Ready Index this year, which will be used in next year's calculation of the business time. So great things happening. It's a compliment to the staff, the teachers, and the students and the families at Bethel Park High School. We are excited. We have a lot of work to do, but we are heading in the right direction, in my opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Villani. That's very encouraging. I really appreciate all the hard work, and I appreciate everybody at that building, every single staff member that's making it happen. To have a jump in growth like that, to show growth in just like the last 2 years, really appreciate the dedication and all of the hard work that everybody's doing. Keep it going. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other board comments or questions on this? No?
Voting is open. Motion carries.
Thank you. Mr. Grosbeck, can you handle finance? I think we can probably take all four of these together.
Sure. Yeah, we have 4 items tonight under finance. Item number 1, items declared unused and unnecessary. Item number 2, approval of donation. Item number 3, South Hills Interfaith Movement Transportation Rental Agreement. And item number 4, agreement with buy and sell real estate. I move to approve items 1 through 4 on the Finance Committee agenda.
Second.
Does anyone have any questions about any of these items?
Any questions?
Voting is open.
Okay.
Motion carries.
Ms. Turner, we have 1/3 and final reading on policy. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
We have a third and final reading on policy 123.3, parents, guardians, immediate relatives as coaches, that needs to be moved for approval.
Second? Is there a second?
Yeah, second. Sure.
Pick one.
Moved by Ms. Turner and seconded by Mr. Modra.
Voting is open. Motion carries.
Okay, and then Mr. Christensen, I have 2 on second reading. Approval of policy 146.1, the trauma information approach, and then revisions to policy, second of 3 readings, 218, student discipline, 220, student expression, dissemination of materials, 227, controlled substance and paraphernalia, 808, food services, and 916, volunteers.
Under other, we have one item. Mrs. Janicek, can you move that item?
I move the student agreement.
Second?
Second.
So it was moved by Ms. Janicek, seconded by Scalzo, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Any questions, discussion on this? Okay.
Well, this one will also have to create will you be creating a trust situation for that also? Okay.
Voting is open. Motion carries.
Thank you. That's the end of the voting part of the meeting. Last major topic, any other public comments on anything on the agenda, things not on the agenda?
Should we address the?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can do that. They'll give everybody else a chance to think about their comments, okay?
Look at those smiles.
Thank you, teachers.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, now, any public comments on anything related to school?
I guess I'll say something. Hi, Holly Lissack, 880 Hershire Drive. I don't understand any of this critical race theory or DEI, all of it. I grew up at Pittsburgh Public Schools, so I'm familiar with diversity and all this. I believe you were talking that you want it to be an elective, and it's an optional elective. So if it follows through, of course. I don't agree with it because I teach my kids at home, and I believe it's parenting, and that's where it should be, parents. Parents need to teach their kids about this. And I do feel bad for those students that feel like they stand out or whatever, but it's a parenting issue. It's not a teachers or government issue at all. And it's been taken to our government, and it's all over our country, and it's ridiculous. I'm the parent. I'll teach my kids about that, sex, and everything. Thank you.
Any other comments? Anthony, anybody on the line? One on the phone? If you could hold 1 second, there's just one person.
Hello, caller?
Yes.
You are in the meeting. If you state your full name and address, you'll have 2 minutes to make your comments.
Okay, this is Brendan McCarthy at 101 Jordan Drive. I'm just calling to say how laughably representative of what America is right now, that 6 white people sitting at a big table in a room full of a bunch of white people are going to sit here and decide that none of their white kids can even choose to learn about the history of minorities in this country. It's pretty disgraceful, and you should be ashamed of yourselves.
Any other calls? Ma'am?
No other calls.
My name is Bonnie Ballas, 5008 Belmont Avenue. After hearing everyone's comments tonight, I felt that it is very apparent that there needs to be some type of community outreach. Contrary to some beliefs, I don't believe it's the responsibility of the school district to raise our children. It is their responsibility to provide a fair and appropriate education. Formal education should be a part of their upbringing, but not the whole. Bethel Park is a different community than it was when I was growing up. Asking to teach children kindness and acceptance within a community needs to happen much earlier than high school, and not with a CRT curriculum or anything similar. I believe that it does, like you said, start at home, and I think that maybe there needs to be some education for parents in our community.
Yeah, there you go.
Not that it is the responsibility of the school district to do that, but I think as a community, we all need to get together and figure something out if that is a problem, and it is a problem within our community, as we heard. Thank you for speaking up. I do not believe that it is the full decision of the students. They do not have the right to vote. I support parental rights and I support transparency. With things that are happening in neighboring districts and parents losing trust in administration, it has made a lot of people's eyes open and made them ask more questions, which is great. Like many of you have said, that we all have a voice and we all have differing opinions. We are a community of people who should be able to work together to create a safe environment for our children. And I think we can all agree on that. So I thank those of you who voted no tonight until there is more transparency and parental involvement. In regards to low enrollment, people were looking for options. I homeschool my younger child. I co-direct a homeschool community center, and people are looking for options. They're pulling their kids out of school. They they never wanted to homeschool, but they're not happy with what is going on. And I'm not saying just Bethel Park. It's happening all over. And this is affecting our community as a whole. Funding is coming out, and it's gonna affect the schools. It's gonna affect the whole community. So I think, looking into a charter school, I'm not saying dogwood, but looking for options for the community, I think, is very important. Thank you for your time.
Yeah,
Hi, Jim Maines, 3485 South Park Road. I just have a couple quick questions. Could the school board please make sure that they would put the financial audit on the website so it's readily available? Other districts do it, and we should have audits available for the last 2 or 3 years. And the other thing is, I'd like to know if we could have the most up-to-date budget information on the website too. Thank you.
Hello, I'm still Michaela, and I still live at 5863 Wallace Avenue. I'm disappointed that the class wasn't passed because it is optional. Kids don't have to take it, and they should be allowed to choose classes that reflect themselves and reflect their classmates. But I am glad to hear that so many of you guys are teaching your kids at home about people who look like me. Does anyone actually know who the first female woman of color was in the Congress? It was Pasty Mink. Does anyone know what someone who looked like me, what their life would have looked like when they first came to America? Well, if I got here, I would have been a prostitute as an indentured slave. I probably would have worked for about 5 to 7 years, and then I would have died of syphilis. Now that you've learned that, I see that no one in the room is severely affected or hurt by it. It's not negatively impacting anyone. And I would have to assume that if we're teaching about the history of minorities, that that would be similar along the lines of what they'd be learning. And as you can see, everyone's still living. Everyone's okay. And now you know a little bit more about me and about my background. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Hi, Christina Headley again, 5881 Irishtown Road. I was just wondering, I know that the high school and IMS had did the safety survey last year, and I wondered what resulted from that. Is there somewhere that we could see what we implemented or what we did to try and make the students feel safer? Just a question. Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Marcy. So I understand why some people voted the way that they did, and I'm confused on why a couple of people voted the way they did. Specifically, Mrs. Turner, when Dr. Wells explained to you how to achieve what you wanted to achieve, was by voting for this to pass so that you could then learn more. You still decided not to, so that was confusing to me. But I am going to watch that movie, and yeah, I hope that it fixes everything as it has for you and your family. So thank you very much for sharing that. And Mrs. Jansek, I appreciate what you had said, but I just wanted to clarify too, Michaela wasn't looking for an apology for the community. She really enjoys being a part of Bethel Park and was very proud of that. I think she just wants, as I want, just people to have the opportunity to learn about other people, not how they were wronged, not who wronged them. I mean, but maybe just what holidays they celebrate, what, backgrounds, like what was in the, what was laid out for it. Again, I understand everybody has opinions, and I still appreciate everybody sharing their opinions, and hopefully, this being able to communicate with everybody brings us closer. And I don't know. Thank you.
Anyone else? Public comments? Any call-ins?
No call-ins.
Any board comments?
I'd like to thank our administration as well as the representatives. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
One more. I'm so sorry. I've listened to all this. And my name is Christina Cornick. I live on 220 Bluestone Drive. Christina
Just pull the mic a
Cornick.
little bit closer if you could.
Christina Cornick, 220 Bluestone Drive. I'll try to keep this short, but because if I say too much, it might go bad. But basically, I want you all just to think about where we're headed, okay? It may seem like we're doing a little bit here. Next thing you know, we're going to do this, then this, then this. It's very obvious that the country's very divided. So is our communities. Division is everywhere. We have to be very, very careful of our decisions. It may seem like a very small thing that we're trying to do here, but even having it optional, you're causing division and you don't even realize it. I just want you to be aware of that. I just felt very compelled to say that right now. I feel for anybody that's been through an abusive relationship or people don't understand them, but we can't teach people every culture and person of the world. We have to teach people that we're all good people, that we're all here to do good. That is what we're supposed to know and learn, not this person's good, this person's bad. No, no. We all should be loving each other. That's what it's about.
All lives matter.
Hi, Melissa Frank, 1064 Centergate Road Drive, sorry. I just wanted to quickly just show my support for Mrs. Chris Falusi and what an amazing teacher she is. I don't know if you guys know her personally or just know her as a contract, as a salary, but she is an amazing person and teacher, and it's a very sad day for our school at George Washington if she has to leave us. And I just want to express that I hope that there is a place for her at our school next year, or at least in the district, because she is an asset that this district should be fighting to keep and not lose. And that is what's most important. We can sit here and talk about curriculum and strategic planning, but when we lose the people who administer all this to our children, then we're really not doing a service to anybody. And nor if we cram them in overcrowded classrooms, is that really going to be a conducive to any type of teaching at all. One thing is I'm relatively new to the surveys. I'm trying to learn it a little bit, but as a child therapist for almost 20 years, as I'm reading the questions on the surveys, a lot of these things are triggering mental health issues, and I'm wondering if there was any consideration given at all to if some of these surveys come back as triggers of mental health issues or possible depression or things of that nature, if there was any type of follow-up that the district had planned on doing. Because I think it's somewhat irresponsible to just put these surveys out there without some type of follow-up, because these questions can really uncover a wealth of different issues, one of which would be mental health. Thank you.
Anybody else? Board comments?
I just want to say very quickly to Dogwood Charter School, I rewatched your presentation. I was real hot on this mic last week. I rewatched your presentation this past week, and I don't want to say I'm impressed because I'm not an educator, but I want your school in Bethel Park, because I think it's valuable to students who may not fit the mold of a public school. So, you know, keep trying. That's all I got. I just want to encourage you to keep trying.
I wanted to thank our administration as well as the representation from the teachers union on doing a great job of smoothly getting that contract done. I did not expect it to be done that early, so I was definitely pleasantly surprised. I'd also like to thank all of the teachers who have been working so hard, beginning to develop our strategic plan and slowly get us where we need to be. That report from Mr. Villani was very encouraging to see where, how much we'd improved in our AP scores in just a short 2 years. I'd also like to say I am disappointed that we didn't pass the social studies recommendation from that department. However, I hope that once Ms. Turner and Mr. Christensen get the information that they need and that they're looking for, that we can get that passed. And those 2 courses to students, I think they'll really benefit them. I also hope that we go and we take another look at the surveys if we weren't happy with them, and hopefully we can get something that can benefit our students.
I just want to thank the administration and the teachers for working so hard on that contract. Everybody did a great job, and that was super fast. So thank you. It was great. And we appreciate you. I especially appreciate the administration who comes here every meeting and gives us information and answers our questions and prepares things for us. We appreciate all of you. You help us and you guide us and you tell us what's going on, and you're there for us. So I just want to say thank you for that. I appreciate you all.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?